Alright, so it has only been 1 week since my last spring garden update, but we had some unseasonably warm temperatures this past week. We got into the high 80s most of this past week, and we had such an explosion of growth in the garden that I felt the need to go ahead and do just a short interval update on the spring garden to show you how much growth we've had in 1 week's time. So before, I don't believe I had all of these beds planted. They're all planted now in tomatoes, peppers, and tomatillos. These plants here were very small when I planted them. They were root bound in the little potting trays. And since planting them 1 week ago, they have just shot up. They've turned this beautiful green color and have really taken off. I've come through here and I've pinched off all of the bottom little branches so that they're not coming in contact with the soil. Leaf contact with the soil is a lot of times how tomato plants will get infected with fungal diseases. So we have all these little transplanted peppers all the way down. And the same on this side. And look at these tomatoes. Just huge difference in 1 week with the warm weather. In this bed we have some tomatillos. Mostly tomatillos on the right side of this trellis, and then tomatoes down the left side. This one has really taken off as well. I believe that's a Cherokee purple tomato, just based on what I grew last year. And I had so many little tomato plants that I did end up putting my little small extras down along the fence row all the way around, and we'll just end up staking those to the fence and see what they do. If they don't do much, we've got plenty of tomatoes actually in the beds. This area here will be for the sweet corn. We'll break it up one more time this week and get the corn planted probably midweek. Also, since the last video, we've come through here where we planted the peppers. We put the weed block, this black cloth here, all under this pine straw. And we did the same over here with tomatoes. That's what we ended up planting here. So before, I wasn't sure what I was going to plant over here. We ultimately decided on tomatoes since I had so many tomato plants. So we'll end up having to stake these all the way down the row. And this has the weed block under it as well. Now back over here in the other raised garden area, we have lots of potatoes in through here, and they have really taken off this week. So huge explosion of growth in the potatoes in just 1 week. And I've noticed that I have 2 beds of Yukon Golds. This one and this larger bed right back here. Now they are the beds that have the largest plants, most growth, and I'm not sure it's anything other than the fact that they're a different potato variety. So those are the Yukon Golds. Everything else is pretty much Kennebecks through here. We've got our Egyptian walking onions, all of our buckets down through here with potatoes and cabbage, stuff like that in there. Pretty big difference in the carrots in 1 week with the warm temperatures. And again, this large bed here with Yukon Golds and then Kennebecks in the back. We've got the garlic bed. Pulled out the broadleaf mustard that was in here last week and planted some cucumbers down there. I'm going to put trellises on both of these beds so that my cucumbers can run up those and give me actually a little bit more space in the bed. And this lettuce is probably only going to be good for another week or so before it bolts. I do need to get out here and pick this. Pecan trees are some of the last trees to bud out every year. All of ours are just now getting fully budded out. I did paint these with a whitewash or a latex interior white paint earlier this year to help protect the bark and keep it from splitting so bad with the summer heat. So it helps to prevent sun scald and sunburn on your young trees. These are the cabbages. Fairly significant growth in 1 week. Again, we got a lot of weeds in here, but there's some Swiss chard and a bunch of squash plants in there coming up. These strawberries have just started making fairly consistently. I'm getting like a handful a day out of this raised box of strawberries. And last but not least, out here on the patio, we've moved our plants back out here. So I have kiwi plants with these trellises. The goal is to have them run up onto the lattice above them this year. We have a male plant in this pot, and I have 2 females in that pot. They lost their leaves for the winter and have just budded back out and leafed back out at this point. Since they did really well over winter here by just pulling them into the little shed back there in the background, we're going to do 2 more female kiwi plants to put up here to run up the front of our trellis as well. I have 2 citrus trees. This is a mandarin tree that made it through the winter just by pulling them into a little shed out of the cold. And this has got lots of little fruits on it this year. So that's kind of exciting. I've never grown any citrus, but it's got little baby fruits. It bloomed out really pretty white blooms probably about a month ago, and now it's setting to fruit. Now I did have 2 olive trees that I planted last year, and they got burnt way back with the cold. So this winter I'm actually going to bring these indoors, but they did survive. I've just had to prune them way back. We've got another one right here. Again, pruned way back, but it made it. So this is my lemon tree, and the blooms are just now turning into fruit on it. Since the citrus made it through the winter and the kiwis made it through the winter, I went ahead and bought a lime tree, or actually 2 lime trees that we're going to get potted and out here on the patio. And 1 additional olive tree, since these technically made it through the winter, and I plan to bring them in this coming winter. I did get 1 more olive tree. So we're going to try to have the patio all nice and green out here this summer. Now this bucket over here was my cold hardy avocado tree. We did the same thing with this tree that we did with the citrus and the olive trees. We brought it into that little shed. So it was not completely protected from the cold, but it was shielded from any frost. And we did throw like sheets or tarps over them if it was super cold, but the avocado just did not make it. Even though it's the only one of these plants, besides the kiwi, that was promoted to be cold hardy. Very interesting.